We all know the story of the American Revolution: brave patriots, bold ideals, and heroic battles. But what if I told you that the independence we celebrate was won not just on the battlefield but in the shadows? This is the story of the secret deals, the whispered promises, and the clandestine networks that truly secured America's freedom. Without them, the revolution was doomed to fail. By the mid-1770s, the American colonies were in a desperate fight against a global superpower. Britain had the world's mightiest navy, a seasoned professional army, and a treasure chest that seemed bottomless. The colonies? They were broke, poorly armed, and had zero international standing. Revolutionary leaders like Benjamin Franklin knew a painful truth: lofty ideals alone don't defeat an empire. You need allies. The most promising and most complicated ally was France. France was still stinging from its defeat to Britain in the 7 Years' War, a conflict that had cost them most of their North American empire. The French were hungry for revenge, and seeing Britain humbled by its own colonies was an irresistible thought. But openly backing a rebellion was a massive gamble. If the Americans were crushed, France would be left facing a vengeful Britain, alone and humiliated. So, the game had to be played in secret. Even before the Declaration of Independence was signed, the French government began a covert operation. They set up a fake company, a front called Roderick Hortalez and Company, run by a playwright-turned-secret agent. Its mission: to funnel a steady stream of weapons, gunpowder, uniforms, and cash to the struggling American rebels. Officially, France declared its neutrality to the world. Unofficially, it was the primary arms dealer for the American Revolution. In the early years of the war, a huge portion of the ammunition used by the Continental Army came not from American workshops, but from these secret French shipments. Then, in late 1776, America's secret weapon arrived in Paris: Benjamin Franklin. He was already a global celebrity, known for his wit and scientific genius. But now he had a new role: chief diplomat and master persuader. He charmed his way through Parisian high society, becoming the talk of the town. But behind the public appearances and fancy dinners, Franklin was engaged in high-stakes negotiations. He worked tirelessly, arguing, flattering, and bargaining with French officials. He promised them lucrative trade deals, a powerful future alliance, and, most importantly, the chance to land a knockout blow against their oldest rival. Still, the French hesitated. They needed proof that the Americans weren't just a band of rebels destined to be defeated. That proof arrived in late 1777 with news of the Battle of Saratoga. In a stunning victory, American forces had surrounded and captured an entire British army. This was the turning point. Saratoga proved to the world, and specifically to France, that the American cause was viable. The rebellion could actually succeed. The need for secrecy vanished overnight. In 1778, France officially recognized the United States and signed the Treaty of Alliance, formally entering the war on America's side. French soldiers and, crucially, the powerful French Navy were now openly committed to the fight. But even this public alliance was built on years of those quiet assurances and strategic backroom bargains Franklin had been making. But France wasn't the only nation playing this shadow game. Spain, another of Britain's historic rivals, also saw an opportunity. The Spanish were wary of encouraging colonial rebellion, fearing it might inspire their own colonies in the Americas. So, they refused to officially recognize the United States. But behind the scenes, they provided critical support. The Spanish governor of Louisiana, Bernardo de Galvez, became a key figure. He secretly funneled supplies up the Mississippi River to American forces and launched his own brilliant military campaigns. Capturing British forts along the Gulf Coast and distracting British resources, Spain's goal wasn't American liberty. It was to weaken the British Empire. Even the Dutch Republic got involved in this web of secret dealings. Long before their government officially recognized the U.S., enterprising American agents secured massive loans and military supplies from Dutch merchants and bankers. In an era when the Continental Congress was constantly on the verge of bankruptcy, these secret financial lifelines from Amsterdam were what kept the Continental Army fed, clothed, and armed. Without this flow of Dutch money, the war effort could have collapsed from financial exhaustion. And these secret deals weren't just happening on the international stage. Within America itself, the war was fought with whispers and spies. George Washington, far from being just a general, was also America's first spy master, personally oversaw complex espionage rings. Like the famous Culper Ring in New York, these spies fed false information to the British, discovered enemy troop movements, and exposed traitorous plots. This hidden war of intelligence was just as vital as any battle. Covert diplomacy was also used to negotiate with Native American nations, trying to secure their alliance, or at least their neutrality, and to win over undecided local militias. All of these hidden threads, the French arms, the Spanish attacks, the Dutch loans, and the American spies came together in 1781 at a small Virginia port town called Yorktown. Here, the power of secret diplomacy was put on full display. The French fleet, secured through years of Franklin's tireless negotiations, sailed up the coast and blockaded the Chesapeake Bay. This trapped the main British army, led by General Cornwallis, cutting off any chance of escape or reinforcement by sea. On land, a combined force of American and French soldiers surrounded him. Cornwallis had no choice but to surrender. The Battle of Yorktown effectively ended the war. When the Treaty of Paris was signed in 1783, officially recognizing the United States as an independent nation, the world was stunned. Not by the ideals of the revolution, but by the fact that it had actually worked. This impossible victory was built on a foundation of more than just courage and sacrifice. It was built on clever strategy, calculated risks, and secret agreements made in the shadows of global power politics. The American Revolution teaches us that freedom is rarely won out in the open alone. It was secured through covert aid, backroom diplomacy, and dangerous gambles by allies who acted long before the outcome was certain. It required deception, negotiation, and a clear-eyed understanding of the world as it was. The story of American independence is not just a tale of heroes, but a masterclass in the hidden art of making history. Thanks for watching. If you found this look into the hidden side of history interesting, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more.